This is UFO Buster Radio, and Manny Moonraker is here for episode 6-7. Today we're going to start the episode talking about that one particular news story that broke about 4 days ago regarding Trappist 1 and the 7 planets that were found in a Goldilocks zone. But in order to start the conversation, I'm going to play a clip. The clip is from the Fox show Your World with Neil Cavuto, and the host Neil Cavuto has a guest to talk about the Trappist 1 findings. That guest is the staff writer from space.com. Her name is Calla Cofield. Now listen to this. It's a good clip, and then I have some questions about it, and I'm sure you guys do as well. Here we go.
Well, some good news, Chuck. There is no reason to feel lonely anymore. This from NASA today.
I'm excited to announce today that Dr. Michael Gion and his team have used our Spitzer Space Telescope to determine that there are actually 7 Earth-sized planets orbiting the nearby Trappist 1 star about 40 light-years away.
Let me explain what he said. He said that there are 7 Earth-like planets, but 40 light years away from us, and that they could all bear life. They could all bear life, and that the conditions there aren't only there for life, but maybe the water that would provide it as well. Much has been made of this so-called Goldilocks discovery, which I thought had to do with bears on Wall Street. Apparently not. It refers to those systems that are deemed neither too cool nor too hot to, in this case, have life. And in this case, 7 would fit that definition. All 7, even though they seem to be focusing on 3 on these so-called Trappist planets, if you will, Trappist 1, and they are all part of the same ultra-cool dwarf star referred to as Trappist 1. Now, leaving that aside, what it could mean is that any one of these planets, maybe all 7, could have their version of a President Trump, and let's say one does. We know very well that he thinks of the other 6, they're total losers. All right, I thought I'd lead with this because I thought it was that big. And by the way, I'm not alone. Calla Cofield from space.com thinks it's a pretty big deal as well. How did we not know this was so relatively close? 40 light years untold is pretty close.
The universe is a really big place, Neil, and, we only have so many telescopes studying it at any one time, but I think we should focus on the fact that we found it. It's a tremendous find, that we have multiple telescopes that were able to come together and focus in on this system and figure out what was going on, because at first they were just getting sort of some strange dimming of the star, and it took collaboration to figure out there are 7 planets orbiting very close to this star. They're all very close to the size of Earth. I mean, it's incredible what we're able to do and what we'll be able to do with telescopes that are coming up. We're going to be able to learn about the atmospheres of these planets, learn more about their compositions. I mean, really narrow down and get closer to that question of, could these places support life as we know it?
All right, now, this is an ultra-cool dwarf star, much smaller than our own sun, that they circle around, hence the relatively tight orbit, and you could see a good many of them from each other, the planets there, and that we're convinced that unlike a Jupiter or a gaseous planet, they're solid, they're rock. How do we know that?
It's a really good question. A lot of it, I mean, they're still gathering information. I would like to say that a lot of the details are coming out. It's, they're pretty sure. Planets this size tend to be rocky. You don't really get gaseous planets like Jupiter this small. They can't hold together. But it's also a simple matter of when you can measure, their diameter and their mass. If I tell you I have a tennis ball and it weighs 50 pounds, it's probably made of lead. If I tell you it weighs 1 ounce, it's probably made of feathers. So just getting these little pieces of information about the planets, these scientists are able to take a guess at what they're made of, and it looks like they're rocky.
Now, these so-called exoplanets, I guess those that, surround stars other than our own, there's thousands of them out there, and that the odds of at least one of them having life are pretty high, which would make the late, great Carl Sagan obviously delighted. But we use water as sort of like the baseline for that argument, don't we?
Yeah, because life as we know it, we haven't found an example of life on Earth that doesn't need water.
Right.
And so we're starting with that. We're starting with what we know. But, you know, it's possible with further exploration of the solar system or planets like this, we may find examples of life that doesn't need water. You know, there are a lot of exciting possibilities. But you start with what you know.
All right. So when you hear this, and the fact that, I guess, like you say, it was just a matter of turning a telescope or a different one on to look at this. These are images we're getting essentially 40 light years away. So what images they might have of us, if there's intelligent life, is from 40 years ago, which 40 years ago at this time Jimmy Carter was president. But I do note that later in the summer, a particular movie debuted called Star Wars. Coincidental or not?
I think we need to run that by NASA, Neil. You may be onto something.
Well, many people say I'm on something, but I just thought I'd pass that along because you can't make this stuff up. All right, thank you very, very much. Again.
All right, so that's the clip. Now, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just a little cynical. But Neil is asking the same question we ask all the time. How in the world do we know what the composition of these planets are? Great, we understand that they're in the Goldilocks zone. They kind of mirror the same place that their planet Earth is. But how do you know what the composition is? And how do they know to focus on 3 specific planets? The answer that Calla Cofield gave was pretty much they kind of guess. They take parts of recipe A, compare it to parts of recipe B, and then they just assume that this is what the situation is, 40 light years away. In many ways, I'm surprised at her answer because Calla Cofield, even though she's a staff writer for Space.com, she actually has a physics degree from UMass, the University of Massachusetts. In her work with Space.com, she's also visited 3 different colliders, like the Large Hadron Collider out in Europe. But her answer is they just guess about it. And really, it seemed like she kind of wanted to deflect the question, but, you know, I'm sure looking at Neil, looking at her like, are you serious? Are you serious right now? She ended up giving some kind of an answer. I myself, I don't have an answer. I'm not really sure how in the world they still are able to guess at the composition of these planets 40 light years away. My only question here is, why is TRAPPIST-1 such a big deal? Back over the summer, August to be exact, they reported finding planets which were between 4.2 and 4.3 light years away. Specifically, Proxima b. Proxima b is part of the Proxima Centauri, which is part of a binary system known as Alpha Centauri, AB. And these are basically the closest system to Earth. So why would we be so concerned about something that's 40 light years away when right here in our backyard, 4.2 light years away, is a potential planet in a habitable zone? And really, even if you're looking at light years away, Proxima b, light travels about 4.2 years. The TRAPPIST, it's going to take 40 years. So what is the use on focusing on planets and systems that are 4.2 far? Just seems to me that we're deflecting the conversation. Why don't we focus on things that are closer? If you have the same question, let me know. Write about it. Send me a tweet. If you have the same question, send me a tweet, send me a message. Let's talk about it. Maybe we can get someone on here that has some answers. Because honestly, it seems like we're moving farther away instead of closer to where we are more than likely to have some kind of contact versus going way, way out there. Okay, let me tell you, the stories are already getting crazy regarding this TRAPPIST discovery. There's already an article going through social media that says that NASA actually received a radio signal from those TRAPPIST planets, and that is the reason why they're focusing on 3 out of the 7. So next we have our MUFON report of the week, and this one is coming out of Washington. The headline for this particular case is Washington witness videotapes lights in triangular formation. Now, this is a hot topic because we know what a triangular formation means, and that is a TR3B. So case number 82230. So apparently this witness was outside walking in a farm field, and he was assessing the tide flats for duck hunting. And of course he had his camera, he's out there really early, and the report says it was about 7:20 a.m. on January the 16th. He observed 3 white blinking lights in a triangular formation to the south, presumed to be aircraft, but not 100% sure, so he actually took pictures of these orbs. He said what really struck him was the fact that they stayed in formation much longer than he would figure commercial aircraft would stay. So he took 2 pictures and also a short video and submitted it to MUFON on the 20th of 2017. This particular report caught my eye only because last week, around 6 a.m. in the morning, I saw the same formation to the north of where I live, except that one of the orbs actually broke free from the triangle. And being that I'm not too far from the local airport, I assumed that this was due to air traffic. So I didn't really pay any mind to it. I just let it go. I didn't try to record anything. But this individual did, and I'm assuming that the reason why he did that was because he may not be necessarily really close to an airport. But the link is in the description. Check this out. Yeah, it's pretty good pictures of the orbs in triangular formation. Unfortunately, the article itself doesn't have a link to the video, but I'm sure if you search by the case number, 82230, you should be able to find it. And in fact, if you look at the comments for this particular case that was submitted to MUFON, there are people already commenting and asking for the video, so it's very possible that the video was never uploaded, or they're hiding it from Secure Team 10. So I was actually initially working on an interview for this week's episode, and it was with Kyle from UFO Proof, a popular YouTube channel that goes over UFO sightings and things like that. Lately, he's been doing some of his own, research online and doing comparisons and looking at old UFO sightings. So I want to say that I liked Kyle's style because he reminds me of he's like the Morton Downey Jr. of ufology. And for those of you who used to watch Morton Downey, you know what I'm talking about. And of course, I contacted him in a really informal fashion because he really seems like an informal kind of guy. And he said he'd like to come on the show, but he was a no-show today. So if you watch UFO Proof, let him know we still want him to come on. We'd like to talk to him and really see what his perspective is. And again, we are looking for folks to interview, folks that do research. I have been getting contacted by more people than usually. However, scheduling folks seems to be quite the task. So if you want to be interviewed, if you're conducting research and you'd like to join an episode, send me an email, contact me, Robo-O, let them know how they can contact us.
Don't forget to visit us at UFOBusterRadio.com, Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook.
All right, here's the last item for today, and it comes out of AOL. That's right, America Online. First of all, I want to say that this is an anomaly to me in and of itself because I really thought AOL was gone, but apparently not. They're still hanging on, and AOL.com News has a recent report regarding the increase year after year on UFO reports, and not just a small increase, a significant increase. So the article was written by Emily Druby, and according to her, a statistician and PhD candidate, Sam Monfort, compiled all of the data from the National UFO Reporting Center and found that more than ever, people have been spotting UFOs and reporting them. According to the article, the number has been rising steadily since the 1980s and has hit an all-time high in 2010 with a grand total of 45,000 yearly sightings. So no, if you've seen a UFO, an anomaly in the sky, you are not alone. You and 44,000 other people have reported the same thing. The other thing is that the data, when compared to the rest of the planet, the United States has exactly 300 times more reports than the global median. So again, just like a few weeks we talked about the TR-3B sightings, how most of them are from the United States. Now we have that most of these UFO sightings are 300 more times likely to happen in the United States. And with a total of 45,000 yearly reports, what does that tell you about the origin of the UFOs? If these are really from an exterior source to the planet, who do you think they're in contact with? Let's really think about that. And if it's not from an exterior source to the planet, who do you think is creating these sightings? Who is at fault? Can't be Africa. We know that much. And we know it's not the Chilean government because they can't even tell an airplane from a UFO. Well, at least that's what most people are saying right now. But again, the data doesn't lie. We have a significant amount of sightings in the United States compared to everybody else. Year over year, these sightings continue to rise. So what is it that's happening here compared to everywhere else? Why do we have so many more sightings? That's really what we have to explore. We'll leave that for the next show. I thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit us on Facebook at the Manny Moonraker page, on Twitter at UFO Buster Radio, and at UFO Buster Radio on Instagram. Until next week, ciao.
They hate us 'cause they ain't us.
Okay, UFO Buster Radio all done. You go now. You come back tomorrow. You listen to archive. You go now. You have a nice day. Bye-bye.